Hey guys, Joseph Henson here with Henson CPA Group. I hope you had a great week so far and you had a good day. This week, we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to go into talking about common questions from veterinary business owners. Again, I'm Joseph Henson with Henson CPA Group. Thank you for joining me. As always, there's a link below if you want to have a conversation. The next week's going to be busy, so you might not get to hear from me as much, but let's go ahead and get moving on this. Question number one, how do I know if my clinic is actually worth what I think it's worth? So this is actually a really good question because everyone thinks that what they have done, it just reaps insane benefits. And this is also one of the biggest misconceptions I see. Most owners base their clinic's value on a feeling. What do I feel like it's worth? Or what they've heard from a colleague. But the valuation is really driven by data. Primarily, it's going to be driven by profitability, growth, trends, and how risky is your clinic. Buyers are looking at EBITDA, your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. What is your client retention? Your doctor dependency. Are you a solo clinic? They're not as interested in that potentially. And then also the operational systems. Two clinics with the same revenue can have completely different values depending on how well they are run, how efficiently. So instead of asking, what do I think it's worth? Really, you want to start reframing this as what would buyers pay based on my numbers today? Just that little shift can change how you run your business. Question two, why does one good month never seem to stick? Everyone has those months where everything's just clicking. We're firing on all cylinders, revenue is high, things feel smooth, and then next month it drops again. That usually means that success, it wasn't driven by a repeatable system. It might be a seasonality issue, a one-time surge in demand, or even you just got lucky that month. The key is going to identify what caused the good month. Was it a surge in emergencies? Was it the weather? What was going on? Was it more appointments? Was it a higher average transaction value? Better scheduling? Once you identify the driver, you can build a system to replicate it. Without that, you're just hoping for another month and seeing what's going to work. Question three, are we making money on all of our services or just some of them? A lot of clinics assume that if a business is profitable overall, every service has to be profitable. Very rarely is that true. Some services are honestly the ones that are losing the most in your industry, meaning they bring in clients, but they don't make money themselves. Others are highly profitable, but way underutilized. The only way to break down your cost is by doing your cost by service. That includes your labor, your supplies, and your time. When you do that, you often find opportunities to adjust pricing, improve efficiency, or start shifting your focus to a higher margin service. The next question we get a lot of is, how do I know if I'm reinvesting too much back into the clinic? Look, growth is important, but over reinvesting can actually hurt your financial health. I see clinic owners constantly putting money back into equipment, staff, or expansion without stepping back to evaluate what the return truly is. A good rule of thumb is to ask, is this investment generating a measurable return? Not just revenue, but profit. If you build another exam room, does that actually give you a return on the money you spent, that $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, or was it just another waiting room for someone to be in while you get everything else handled? If your revenue is growing, but your personal income isn't, it's usually a sign you are over investing and not allocating capital efficiently. Why does adding more revenue sometimes make things feel harder? This surprises a lot of people. You'd think if you have more revenue, it would equal less stress, but oftentimes the opposite happens. The revenue adds more complexity. You have more clients. That means you need more staff, more scheduling pressure, more operational strain, more hours in your day. If your systems and processes aren't strong, your growth exposes those weaknesses. The goal isn't just to grow revenue, it's to grow efficiently. That means tightening operations before scaling your clinic. At what point does figuring it out myself start costing me money? At some point in your clinic, really in every business, it happens where doing everything yourself stops being efficient. Early on, it makes sense. Your clinic has to survive. You don't have 2.5 helpers. You don't have a receptionist to constantly be calling people. But as your clinic grows, your time becomes more valuable. If you are spending hours on bookkeeping, HR, or even making just all the financial decisions you're unsure about, you have an opportunity cost. You are not getting to spend more time seeing patients. Or worse, you don't get the time to see your family. That is a huge opportunity cost. And bringing in the right advisors, whether that's a CPA, a consultant, a manager, often it will pay for itself by helping you avoid mistakes and help you make decisions faster. What's the difference between a growing clinic and a stable one? A growing clinic and a stable clinic aren't just defined by the revenue. They're defined by the consistency and the control you have in place. A stable clinic has very predictable numbers, controlled expenses, and steady margins. It might not be a margin you want. It might not be 20%, but it might be a 10% profit margin, which is still great depending on what you are wanting to do. But a growing clinic is increasing the revenue and ideally without losing the control that helps along the way. The danger is when your growth outpaces the stability. That's when things start to feel chaotic. The best clinics will be able to balance both as they grow, but on a strong financial foundation. This is what I want you guys to really understand. This all is built on a strong financial foundation, knowing what's going on inside and outside of your business. That's it for us. If any of this resonates with you, I want you to know you're not alone. Please reach out. And your problems aren't unique necessarily. And more importantly, they're all solvable. If you have any questions, drop them below, send me an email, book a call. We can get involved in that. Just let us know how you need help and where you need support. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great